Hello and welcome back to my channel, Mostly Florals. In today's video, we'll be painting this beautiful bunch of spring florals using Procreate's default Oberon brush. For this illustration, we'll need a canvas size of 6000 pixels by 4500 pixels, and I'm using a lovely spring-inspired color palette. If you'd like to use the same one, I'll leave a link in the description box below so you can download it from my Gumroad shop. I'll also include an outline for this illustration just in case you prefer to import it into Procreate and start coloring on a new layer using the outline as a reference. Let's get started. Here's my canvas, and I'm going to start with the main flower right in the center. I'll make sure I'm on layer 1. This is where I'll paint the first flower, and I'll keep adding layers as needed. So going into my color palette, I think I should select the compact view so it's easier to pick colors. This is my color palette named as Spring Florals 2025, and I think I'll start with this lavender shade in here. Zooming into the canvas a little bit and setting the brush tip size to about 17. Yes, that's good. So yeah, I'm going to start with the first petal like this. Just simple petals. I'll go around like this. I really love the texture of this brush and the way it creates a completely different dimension for the petals. I'm not even going to clean up the edges because I love how it looks, very natural, and the pretty layers it creates. Such a lovely brush it is. So that's my first flower. I'll go back to the palette and choose a slightly darker purple shade here. And I'm going to alpha lock this layer by swiping it to the right. Now I'm just going to add some shading like this. Just painting some lines from the center outward towards the edge of each petal like this. And now I think I can use the blend tool. I'll make sure the blend tool is also set to the Oberon brush, and I'm going to blend it gently, just like that. I hope you can see the difference now from one petal to the other. It looks so much better when those defined lines are softly blended like this. Now I'll increase the brush tip a little bit to blend this area. You can always adjust the brush tip size as needed. So now it looks perfect. Now I'm going to go back into the layers, tap on the plus icon and create a new layer. I'll be painting the flower center here. For that, I'll go with a brown shade, something in a slightly darker tone. I'm going to alpha lock that, then select a slightly darker shade of the same color. I'll reduce the brush size a bit and add in some lines like this to give it a texture. Then I'll use the blend tool to blend it slightly, just like this. I also think we should go with some lines in the opposite direction and do the same thing. Just blend it a little bit. Okay, so that looks good. Now I'm going to create another layer and bring it below this layer. Using this shade here, maybe I'll go with this yellow. Now I'll add a little bit of furry details here like this. That looks perfect for now. I'm also going to select a lighter purple, create another layer and bring it below. I'll add some more details like this. That looks really nice overall. Now that I'm done with this flower and I don't think I'll make any more changes to it, I'm going to merge all the layers and keep it all in one layer so it's much easier to manage. Now I'll add a layer on top and bring it below so I can add some leaves. I'll be using this green shade and I think I'll go with some very loose leaves like this, just painting relaxed strokes. Now I'm going to slowly fill in the inside of this leaf, making sure I still retain the texture of the brush. And then I'll move on to the next leaf, but on a different layer, so I can freely add shadows as I please. Just zooming in here to create that sharp edge, bringing in some curves. I can definitely use the blend tool to blend them a little like this. That looks good. Now I'll go ahead and select a slightly darker shade in the same tone. I'll increase the brush tip size and add some shadows here. Now I see there's a little overlap, so I'm using the eraser tool to clean that up just like that, just a little bit, and then back to adding shadows. In here I'm using the blend tool to soften it just a little, and then I'll select an even darker shade and reduce the brush size. I'm going to draw the center vein and add loosely flowing veins like this, so it looks very natural and not too stiff. That looks nice. Now I'll do the same on the other side. I'll go with this shade, alpha lock this layer and start shading. I'll increase the brush size for some shadow here. I can also use a lighter shade to add a bit of contrast. Now I'll turn off alpha lock so I can clean up that area, and then I will continue with the blending. Now using a darker tone, I need to draw the veins in the center. I'm doing it a bit thicker this time. They don't have to look the same as the other leaf. It's totally fine to look different. Now I feel like adding a dark purple flower in here. So firstly, I'll merge these two leaf layers since I'm done with the edits. If you're unsure, you can always keep them separate. I personally don't like to have too many layers. New layer again, and I'm bringing it below the layer 2, and I'll be using this pink shade to paint this flower, and I'll be painting it right here. Just going to draw some petals like this and a few more petals, and now I'll create another layer and bring it below this to draw the stem. And this time I'll be using this green shade, and I think I should layer it on top, just moving it to the top of this flower. Definitely better. Now I'll loosely draw a stem like this to hold the flower like that. Now using a light pink shade, I'll go back to the flower, alpha lock it, and add some shading at the bottom. A little in the center too, then blend it out like that, just blending it a little to give the flower some nice shading. Now I'll go with the darker shade and add a few spots in here too. Then I'll add a bit more shadow. I think I should deepen it slightly and blend it out like that. Adding a few more spots in the edges of the flower using the same dark tone and blending them out like this. This gives the flower a better definition and makes them look really prettier. And now I'll also select a very light shade, reduce the brush tip, and just draw a few strokes or lines like this. Floral details always make the flowers look so much better and nicer, so just keep adding some. This brush is so good for shading, adding details, and everything else. It's such an all-rounder brush. All thanks to Procreate. Now I'm going to go back to the green, and over here I'll select the darker shade. I'm going to alpha lock this layer and just add some shades like this. That should be it. Now I'll select a lighter shade, reduce the brush tip, and just add some details like that. That looks good. Now I need to add some leaves to complement these ones. I'm thinking of adding a leaf here, something a little bit here, and a longer leaf over there. So I'll keep this green shade and create a new layer, placing it all the way below again. Increasing the brush tip, I'm going to paint a longer leaf just like that, so it's different from the other leaves that I've already painted. And now I'm going to paint another leaf like this with a little curve and just sharpening the pointy tip like this. So I'm adjusting this leaf a little bit as well, so the tip looks a bit pointy too. Now choosing this light green and adjusting the brush tip to minimum, I'm going to draw some thin strokes for the veins for these leaves. So I'll go ahead and give some shadow to this spot and this one as well, and then use the blend tool just a little to blend that area out. So now I'm going to paint some flowers in here. So for that I go to layers and I merge the two parts of this flower and then create a new layer and bring it all the way below. I'm going to go with the pale yellow shade in here, and I'll be painting my flower right here. I think I'll probably go with some rounded petals and a mix of round and heart-shaped petals like this. Now I'll move this layer all the way to the top because I want this one to be on top of the purple flower. Now selecting the slightly darker yellow shade in a new layer, I'm going to paint a similar flower. Now in the color wheel, I'm selecting this brown tone, and on the same flower, I will paint the flower center. And now selecting an off-white kind of shade, I'm going to reduce the brush tip size and draw some details like this. It definitely makes the flower look so much cuter. Now selecting a slightly darker tone, I'm going to just give some more details to these flowers by drawing around the edges like this. Now going to the other similar looking flower layer, I'm going to select a brown shade and paint the center like this, a smaller center for this one. Now selecting a slightly darker tone, I'm going to draw some details around the center like this. And now an even more darker tone to draw around the edges and to show the definition of the petals like this. Now creating a new layer and bringing it all the way to the bottom of the layers panel, I'm going to select this green shade and draw some foliages. And for this, I'll be drawing some thin strokes of stems and adding some teeny weeny leaves and making sure it's all within our specific composition. Once I'm done adding all the leaves, I'm going to go back to the color wheel and select a darker green, and alpha locking this layer, I'm going to add some dark shades to these tiny leaves. Now using the blend tool, I'm just going to blend out a little bit and not much because I really like the double color combo in here. Now in a new layer and bring it once again to the bottom of the panel, I will draw 2 leaves like this and blend them out to make it look grayish green. And now alpha locking this layer and selecting a dark green shade, I'm going to draw the veins for these leaves as well. On second thought, selecting this greenish yellowish shade, I'm going to add a little pop to the tiny leaves. So going back to that layer, I'm just going to scribble a little bit on each leaf and then I'm going to just blend it out. Now creating a new layer and bringing it to the bottom of the layers panel, I'm going to draw my fluffy flower at the base of this bouquet. So for that, I'm going to select this light pink tone and I'm going to increase the brush tip size a little bit to make it look fluffier, and I'm going to add some jumbo petals like this. So I'll be painting some petals all around like this and trying to keep it beneath the purple flower layer. So now selecting this bright orange and in a new layer, I'm going to paint this oval shaped flower center. I really like the pop of color in here. Now selecting a lighter shade almost like off-white and reducing the brush tip size and alpha locking this flower center layer, I'm going to draw some streaks like this, messy streaks, to give some texture to the floral center. Now selecting the same bright orange shade and creating a layer beneath the center layer, I'm going to draw some ruffles like this just to make the flower look more interesting. Now creating a new layer and bringing it below this ruffles layer and selecting a lighter shade, I'm going to draw more ruffles. Selecting a mauve kind of shade from the red palette, I'm going to add some details to the fluffy petals like this to give it a bit more definition. Now using the blend tool, I will blend them all out to make it look even better. By doing this, the petals don't look too obvious. Now using the burnt orange, I'm going to draw just a few dark strokes here and there on the petal to just refine the petals a bit more. I'm also adding a little bit of white shades here and there on the flowers to make it look more fluffier and to show that this flower has more layers. Now selecting this green shade, I'm going to paint some round shaped leaves to complement this flower. Selecting a lighter green shade, I'm going to select this layer and alpha lock it and add a few scribbles like this on the leaves so I can blend them out like this. And now I'll be doing the same with a darker shade of green by adding some shadows like this and then blending them out using the blend tool. Now using a light green shade, I'm going to draw some wobbly lines like this to define the veins of these leaves. Now finally we need to fill this space, and for that I'm going to go to the color wheel and select this light bluish tone, and using the same brush and a new layer, bring it down. I'm going to increase the brush tip size a little bit and draw some uneven shaped flowers like this assuming these to be some tiny flowers or buds. Selecting a lovely mint shade, I'm going to paint some flower centers like this on these tiny flowers. And now decreasing the brush size and selecting a slightly darker tone, I'm going to draw some details like this. These look like teeny weeny spider flowers. Well, that's what I like to call them because of the way the little lines peek out. Now creating a new layer beneath this layer, I'm going to select a green shade and draw some stems to hold these flowers. I'm also adding some leaves in here and making sure that it stays within the composition area, and also making sure that it doesn't look too odd and it suits the rest of the illustration. Now selecting a darker green shade, I'm going to add a few leaves here and there to balance the composition. Selecting a peach shade, I'm going to add a few seeds and buds here and there just to make sure this illustration looks complete and full. I'll also make sure to add some tiny stems holding them so it doesn't look like they are floating. So that is the overall look of this illustration. It's beautiful, it feels soulful, and the Oberon brush is honestly one of the best default brushes in Procreate. Lucky for us. So that's it. This is how the illustration turned out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this Procreate tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll get back to you soon. And follow me on Instagram for more Procreate tips, tricks, pretty art, and creative motivation. I'll see you guys in another brand new video. Until then, take care and happy creating.